Hi, this is Paul Opitz, Senior Product Manager for Radio Products at Uniden Corporation, back again to show you some of the new HomePatrol One Extreme features. In this segment, we're going to go over all the enhancements we've made to the HomePatrol Sentinel software. Let's go over and take a look on the computer right now. So here's the new HomePatrol Sentinel program screen. It looks an awful lot like the old screen, but as we move through this, you'll see some new options. Starting with the File menu, we have two options now for importing from HPE file and export to HPE file. An HPE or HP HomePatrol export file allows you to share your favorite lists or a system in a favorites list with other people. This would be great for sharing, for example, your local amateur radio repeater directory, things like that. We'll just go through a quick demo of exporting. First, you select which favorites list on your computer has the systems you want to share. So we'll pick DFW. You select the systems within that favorite list that you want to share. You can clear all and just pick one or two, but we're going to go ahead and just select everything. And then you give a name for it. Well, I've used dfw.hpe before, I'll use it again. And it's finished exporting the file. Now when you receive a file that somebody is sharing with you, it's simple and easy to bring that in and put it into a favorites list of your own. If we look, I've already created a favorites list called test that has nothing in it. So let's import that HPE file that we just created into the test favorites list. And in a matter of seconds, it finishes importing. If you look, now we have quite a few systems in there that painlessly brought in from somebody else's machine. The other new function on the file menu is export to KML file. KML is a file sharing format used by Google Earth. This will allow you to get a visual indication of where sites, towers, departments, and systems are in your area. So we're just going to export everything within a 100-mile radius. We're going to tell it to go ahead and open Google Earth after exporting to save ourselves a step later. I've set my position to a local position, and we are really just exporting systems from the DFW favorites list. It decides which list to use based on your current profile settings. So here, and we'll export to a file called DFW. Google Earth will launch. And as it zooms into the area, you'll see stick pins in places indicating where there is a department, agency, radio site. If you click on a stick pin, it will give you a little bit more information about it as well as zooming in. In the Edit menu, if we'll look at Edit Profile, we have a few new options here. So you can set your default location. This is the location that's going to be used when you transfer this profile into a HomePatrol. The favorites list looks quite a bit different now. In addition to monitoring the full database, you can set each individual favorites list to either be monitored or not be monitored when you transfer the profile to your HomePatrol. You can now enable for monitoring up to 256 favorites lists along with the main database, the full database, or without the full database. This column allows you to indicate whether the particular favorites list will be downloaded with this profile, and then location determines whether or not location control will be used with this favorites list. So imagine you have a favorites list for marine radio or airband frequencies that are really used everywhere, not tied to a specific location. You could turn the location setting off like we have here for this new system, new favorites list, and whenever that favorites list is enabled, every channel in that favorites list will be scanned regardless of your location. If we look at service types, this determines which service types are enabled by default when you transfer the profile to your HomePatrol. We have some custom service types now. Racing officials and racing teams for use at racing events, and then custom 1 through custom 8 that you can use as cubby holes to put your own channels in for quick selection and deselection. Nothing really new in weather. Miscellaneous does have a couple of new features. Unit ID display. If unit ID display is set to on, then unit IDs will be displayed along with the channel information on your HomePatrol as the unit ID information is captured. Advanced settings remain the same. And if we look at Discovery, Discovery is going to be used with the HomePatrol Extreme Upgrade features. We'll get into those settings and displays when we cover those features. Now let's look at how we would go about editing or creating our own systems. We start by selecting Edit Favorites List from the menu or by clicking on the star with pencil icon. Pick which favorites list you either want to add a new system to or edit a system. We're going to select My Systems. Now you see a list of all the systems that are in the My Systems favorites list. Actually, I'm going to start by deleting a system. We'll delete the Arlington system here and then add it back in later. If you've gone through the HomePatrol 1 Extreme Upgrade Owner's Manual, then some of these system names are going to look familiar. We'll start with Services, which is a conventional system. This system has 2 departments, Marine and Ham Repeater. Let's go to the Ham Repeater and add a channel. We'll click on the plus to append a channel to this department. We'll make this a Races channel and put it on 147.15. Now on this screen you can see some of the additional features that are available. Modulation. You can control whether it automatically sets the modulation based on the band you select, or AM, FM, or NFM. Audio option lets you select whether the audio type used on the channel is analog, digital, or possibly either. If you select analog, you can then select the CTCSS or DCS tone to be used with that channel. If you select digital, you can select the NAC to be used with that channel. The channel will default to search for either of those, and any tone used on the channel would be displayed on the HomePatrol screen in the channel indication area. We're going to leave this set to analog and no specific tone setting. Service type, it's going to default to custom 1, but you can pick any existing type from the list. We're going to set this one to ham also. Scroll over to the right a little bit. You see we can set whether or not attenuation should be on or off for this channel. Each channel can be individually set with the delay to use to determine how long the HomePatrol will wait after a transmission ends before resuming scanning. You can set an alert that would sound whenever this channel becomes active. You can set the tone and the alert volume. And finally, I believe I'm going to have to move over a little bit. You can set a volume offset for the channel to determine how much louder or softer this channel should be in relation to other channels that you're listening to. Back at the service level, you see you have your department list and options. In the case of a conventional system, not very many options. Avoid, on or off, or you could change the name of the system. If we move to a APCO 25 trunked radio system, you'll see a number of additional options. You'll see sites. In this case, we have one site called Metro Area. If we go to that site, well, no frequency has been entered yet. Let's put one in. Let's make this 852.2125. You can set other options for the site. Again, is the site avoided? Should the attenuation be used on this site? If a band plan needs to be manually entered, you can enter it here. You would do this for a Motorola system, for example. And you can set the location for the site using either rectangles or a circle. Back at the system level, you also have an option that is new in the update that allows you to enter unit IDs. When you enter a unit ID, whenever that particular radio is active on the system, an alpha tag matching the unit ID that you enter here will appear in the channels area of the display. So, for example, if we have an East Patrol unit, that uses unit ID 54464, now, whenever that particular unit is active on the system, on a talk group that you're listening to, it will say East Patrol Unit. And then other options, such as whether or not the system should be avoided, the type of system, and another new option for the update, ID Search. When ID Search is on, your Home Patrol will stop on every channel, even if the channel is not programmed into the system already. For those systems, it will just show the numeric talk group identifier. Now, it'll still pay attention to whether or not you have groups enabled, departments enabled, and things like that for the channels that are programmed into the system. But this could be helpful for finding new channels on a system. If we look at a Motorola system, you're going to see very similar settings. You see settings for the department, channels within the department. Again, for a Motorola system, you can set the audio type to be either digital or analog. In all system types, you can set a channel delay that will determine how long the Home Patrol waits on a channel before moving on to the next transmission, a channel alert, and a volume offset. And for the sites, again, you have the frequencies. You have whether the site is avoided, what type of modulation is used on the site, and whether attenuation should be used for this site. The band plan for Motorola VHF and UHF systems, or for 800 megahertz systems that have gone through the rebanding process. And the location for that site. And if we go back to the department level, again, you can avoid the department, and you can also set a location using either rectangles or a single circle. EDAX and LTR systems program very similarly. Here in a couple of weeks, you'll be able to download the software and try it out for yourself, even if you haven't purchased a Home Patrol, even if you haven't applied the update yet. You can look and see what all these features will do for you. If we move on to the View menu, you can still switch between showing Motorola or APCO 25 channels in decimal or hexadecimal format, EDAX, talk group IDs in AFS or digital format. You can read from the Home Patrol, write to the Home Patrol, clear user data, update the firmware in the master database. And then there are a few new tools, Discovery Log Viewer and Activity Log Viewer. We'll get into that when we go over those upgrade features on the Home Patrol itself. Well, I hope you liked what you saw, and come back again soon for some of our other features.